The knocking started before midnight. 3 slow knocks echoed against the wooden door of Oma's hostel room, even though she clearly remembered locking it from the inside. She froze. Outside, the university corridor was silent. No footsteps. No voices. Only the faint humming of broken ceiling lights flickering like dying insects. Oma. The whisper slid through the door. Not from outside. From underneath it. Her breath caught in her throat. She stared at the thin gap between the door and the floor. Darkness pressed against it like something alive. She forced herself to laugh nervously. Maybe stress, she muttered. Exams. Bills. Hunger. Those things were enough to make anyone imagine things. Oma Mensah had come to a cross-state university with nothing except hope stitched into a cheap suitcase. Her father still drove a broken fishing boat along the Volta coast. Her mother sold smoked fish beside the road. Every coin they owned had followed her to the city. And still, it wasn't enough. Campus was another world. Girls arrived in Range Rovers. Perfume floated behind them like invisible crowns. They laughed loudly in restaurants where Oma counted coins just to buy water. Each night she lay awake listening to her hungry stomach growl louder than her dreams. That night she ignored the knocking. Until morning came. And something waited outside her door. A black envelope. No name. No stamp. Just her room number written in red ink. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single photograph. A wedding picture. A beautiful woman stood smiling beside a groom whose face had been scratched out violently. Across the photo someone had written, 3 days. Oma frowned. What nonsense. She flipped it over. Her stomach turned cold. The back showed a newspaper clipping. Businessman found dead, 3rd day after secret marriage. Her heart began pounding. Another paper slipped out. Another man. Another headline. Another death. Always 3 days. A final card slid into her palm. Come to OSU Market tonight. If you want to stop being poor. Oma should have thrown it away. She should have called security. She should have prayed. Instead, she remembered her mother coughing beside charcoal smoke. Her father pretending hunger so she could eat. And the girls laughing at her worn shoes earlier that day. Poverty was louder than fear. That evening she stood at OSU Market under flickering streetlights. Vendors packed their stalls. Stray dogs barked somewhere far away. Then a black car stopped beside her. The window lowered slowly. Perfume spilled into the night air. Inside sat a woman dressed completely in white. Her smile never reached her eyes. I have been watching you, she said softly. Oma stepped back. Who are you? The woman tilted her head. Someone who knows how badly you want money. Oma said nothing. The woman opened the car door. Get in, she whispered. Or stay poor forever. Oma hesitated only 1 second. Then she entered the car. She didn't notice the wedding ring lying on the seat beside her. Still wet with blood. The car doors locked the moment Oma sat down. A sharp metallic click echoed through the silence. She turned immediately. Her hand rushed toward the handle. It wouldn't move. The woman in white did not look at her. Instead, she calmly adjusted her gloves as the car began moving through the crowded streets of Accra. Outside, neon lights flashed across the window like broken memories. Oma swallowed. I think I should go back, she said carefully. No answer. Only the slow hum of the engine. The driver's face remained hidden behind a dark divider. After several minutes, the woman finally spoke. Do you know why poverty follows some people forever? Omar frowned. What? Because they are afraid to take what destiny offers. Her voice sounded gentle. Almost motherly. But something inside Omar twisted uneasily. The car left the busy roads and entered quieter streets. Street lights disappeared one by one. Soon darkness surrounded them. Tall compound walls rose on both sides like silent guards. Finally, the car stopped before a massive iron gate. It opened without anyone touching it. Omar's chest tightened. Inside stood a mansion hidden among tall palm trees. No lights. No guards. Only shadows. This place, Omar whispered. The woman smiled faintly. Opportunity. They stepped out. Cold air brushed against Omar's skin. She suddenly noticed something strange. There were no insects. No distant traffic. No sound at all. Even the wind felt afraid to move. Inside the mansion, candles burned along a narrow hallway. Their flames bent as if something invisible kept passing by. Omar followed slowly. Her footsteps echoed too loudly. At the end of the corridor hung dozens of wedding photographs. Beautiful brides. Different men. Different dates. Same woman. The woman walking ahead of her. Omar stopped breathing. How are you in all of these? The woman turned. Her smile widened slightly. Because marriage is my business. Omar forced a laugh. That's not funny. The woman ignored her. She pointed toward a wooden table. On it sat 3 objects. A silver ring. A small black box. And a glass hourglass filled with dark sand. Omar stepped closer. The sand inside moved slowly downward. Tick. 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 What is this? She asked. A contract, the woman replied. For wealth. Omar hesitated. What do I have to do? The woman finally faced her fully. Her eyes looked older than time itself. You will marry. Omar blinked. What? A man chosen for you. Fear crawled into her stomach. That's insane. The woman leaned closer. Every husband gives 3 days of life. Omar felt cold. I don't understand. You don't need to, she whispered softly. You only need to accept. She opened the black box. Inside lay bundles of cash. Stacks and stacks. More money than Omar had ever imagined. Her knees weakened. This is real. Yes. Omar thought of unpaid fees. Her parents' debts. Hunger. Mockery. Dreams slipping away. Her hand slowly reached forward. What happens after 3 days? She asked quietly. The woman smiled. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. They die. The hourglass flipped on its own. And the sand began falling faster. Omar did not remember agreeing. Later, she would try to recall the exact moment she said yes. But memory blurred strangely after she touched the money. The candles inside the mansion burned brighter. The air smelled heavier. Almost sweet. Almost rotten. The woman in white clapped once. Servants appeared from nowhere. Omar gasped. She had not heard footsteps. Had not seen doors open. They simply stood there now. Silent. Expressionless. All dressed in black. Before she could speak, they surrounded her. Cold hands removed her worn clothes gently but firmly. "Wait, what are you doing?" Omar protested. No one answered. A white dress replaced her old shirt. Soft silk brushed her skin. Too expensive. Too perfect. She stared at herself in a tall mirror. The girl looking back did not seem like her. Her hair was braided beautifully. Gold jewelry rested around her neck. Her tired eyes suddenly looked rich. Beautiful. Dangerous. "You see," the woman said behind her. "We remove poverty first." Omar turned slowly. "This feels wrong." The woman smiled. Poverty felt worse. Outside, drums began beating. Slow. Heavy. Each sound vibrated through Omar's chest. She followed the servants into a courtyard lit by hundreds of candles. Men stood waiting. 6 of them. All dressed in expensive suits. All smiling nervously. Omar noticed something strange immediately. None of them looked at each other. Only at her. Like buyers at an auction. Fear crawled into her stomach. "Who are they?" she whispered. "Men who desire success," the woman replied calmly. "And tonight, one becomes your husband." Omar stepped backward. I thought this was symbolic." The woman laughed softly. "Nothing powerful is symbolic." A tall man stepped forward. Gray beard. Expensive watch. Sweat shining on his forehead. "I choose her," he said quickly. Desperation filled his voice. The other men looked disappointed. Like gamblers losing money. Before Omar could react, a ring was forced gently into her hand. "Say nothing," the woman whispered into her ear. "It will end faster." Omar's heart pounded. "I don't want this." But the drums grew louder. The servants held candles high. The man grabbed her shaking hand. "I accept," he said loudly. The woman nodded. "That is enough." The ring slid onto Omar's finger. Cold. Too cold. The air suddenly shifted. All candles flickered at once. Some went out completely. Omar felt something brush past her ankles. She looked down. Nothing. The ground was clean marble. Yet, for a second she could have sworn something moved beneath her dress. A crawling sensation. The ceremony ended without prayers. Without witnesses. Without joy. Money was handed to Omar immediately. A heavy bag. She barely felt its weight. Later that night she sat inside a luxury apartment beside her new husband. He drank nervously. Laughing too loudly. Trying to impress her. Omar stared at the hourglass placed on the table. Dark sand falling slowly. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. The man smiled confidently. "Now we enjoy life." Behind him, something slid across the ceiling. Silent. Wet. Omar blinked. It disappeared. She told herself she imagined it. Then the man suddenly scratched his neck. Hard. Again. And again. Until thin lines of blood appeared beneath his nails. "What's wrong?" Omar asked. He laughed weakly. "Just an itch." The hourglass dropped another layer of sand. Somewhere inside the walls. Something began chewing. Omar did not sleep that night. Every sound inside the apartment felt wrong. The air conditioner rattled like something trapped inside it. Pipes groaned behind the walls. And somewhere above the ceiling, Soft scratching continued. Her husband slept heavily beside her. Or at least he tried to. He kept turning. Scratching. Muttering under his breath. At first Amma ignored it. People itched sometimes. Stress did strange things. But by morning the scratching had become impossible to ignore. She woke to a wet sound. Slow. Sticky. Her husband sat at the edge of the bed. His back facing her. His shoulders moved rapidly. Scratch. 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 Are you okay? She asked carefully. He didn't answer. The scratching stopped. For a moment everything became silent. Then he turned around. Amma almost screamed. Red lines covered his neck. Deep. Angry. Some still bleeding. His smile looked forced. I think your perfume caused an allergy, he joked weakly. Amma said nothing. She had not worn perfume. He walked toward the mirror. Sunlight touched his skin. And she noticed something else. Tiny bumps moved beneath it. Not twitched. Moved. Like something crawling under flesh. Her stomach tightened. You should see a doctor, she whispered. He laughed loudly. I paid too much money for this marriage to spend it in hospitals. Those words stayed with her. Paid too much. Outside, a crowd buzzed with morning traffic. Inside the apartment. Time felt slower. The hourglass sat on the dining table. Amma didn't remember bringing it. Dark sand continued falling. Half of the top chamber already empty. Day 1. She tried calling the woman in white. No answer. Her phone suddenly showed no signal. Even Wi-Fi disappeared. As evening approached, her husband's mood changed. He became restless. Sweating constantly. Scratching harder. Pieces of skin collected beneath his nails. By nightfall small drops of blood stained his shirt. I feel hot, he muttered. Amma touched his forehead. Cold. Ice cold. A sour smell filled the room. Rotten. Like meat forgotten in sunlight. She covered her nose. Maybe we should go outside, she suggested. He shook his head violently. No hospitals. His eyes looked darker now. Sunken. Hungry. While he slept again, Amma walked toward the bathroom. She needed air. Water splashed against the sink. She stared into the mirror. Her reflection looked calm. Too calm. Behind her. The bathroom door slowly opened. She turned quickly. Nothing. Just darkness. Her heart raced. When she turned back to the mirror, she froze. Something moved across her shoulder. A pale worm slipped from beneath the collar of her dress. Amma screamed. It fell into the sink. Wriggling. Alive. She stumbled backward. No, no, no. Her hands shook uncontrollably. How could it come from her body? Footsteps approached behind her. Her husband stood in the doorway. Watching. Blood dripped slowly from where he had scratched his chest open. He smiled strangely. Did you hear them too? He whispered. Hear what? She gasped. He tilted his head. The chewing. From inside his shirt. Something began moving. Amma did not remember running back into the bedroom. One moment she stood frozen in the bathroom doorway. The next she was locking herself inside, her hands shaking so badly she could barely turn the key. Outside, her husband laughed softly. A slow, broken laugh. "Why are you afraid?" he called through the door. His voice sounded thicker now, as if something filled his throat. Amma pressed both hands over her mouth to stop herself from screaming. The worm. She had seen it clearly. Cold. Pale. Alive. It had fallen from her own dress. Her breathing became shallow. This wasn't part of the deal. It couldn't be. She grabbed her phone again. Still no signal. No internet. Nothing. The hourglass sat on the bedside table. She was certain she had left it in the living room. Dark sands slipped downward rapidly now. More than half gone. Day 2. A sudden thud struck the door. Amma jumped. Another followed. He wasn't knocking. He leaned against it heavily. "I don't feel well," he murmured. His voice sounded desperate. Human again. Against her better judgment, she unlocked the door slightly. The smell hit her first. Rotten. Sweet. Overpowering. Her husband collapsed inside immediately. Sweat soaked his clothes. His skin looked gray. Not sick gray. Dead gray. "Oh God," she whispered. His fingers grabbed her wrist tightly. "Help me." She tried pulling away. Something wet touched her hand. Blood. Fresh scratches covered his chest. Deep enough to expose raw flesh. And beneath it. Movement. Amma gagged. Tiny shapes pushed against his skin from the inside. Slowly sliding beneath the surface like trapped snakes. "No, no." He began crying. "They're eating me." Her stomach turned cold. "What do you mean?" "They started yesterday, under my skin. I hear them chewing." He clawed at his stomach desperately. Amma grabbed his hands. "Stop." But a ripping sound filled the room. His nails tore skin open. Dark liquid spilled onto the floor. Something pale slipped halfway out before disappearing again. Amma screamed. She stumbled backward. Her mind refused to understand what she saw. "I paid them," he sobbed. "I followed the rules." Amma froze. "Rules?" His eyes widened suddenly. Fear replaced pain. "You don't know," he whispered. "What?" "They told me the bride carries hunger." Her heart pounded violently. "What hunger?" He began laughing again. Madness filled his voice. "The kind that eats from inside." Amma backed away slowly. She remembered the mansion. The photographs. The headlines. 3 days. Her stomach twisted. "This wasn't marriage," she whispered. "It was sacrifice." Suddenly he stopped moving. Completely still. Amma waited. Silence stretched. Then his body jerked violently. A loud cracking sound echoed. His stomach rose upward unnaturally. Something pushed outward from inside. Hard. Fast. The skin split open. Amma fell backward screaming. Dozens of worms spilled onto the floor. Thick. Pale. Writhing together. They moved toward her. She scrambled away desperately. Behind her. The hourglass emptied completely. Somewhere far away. A phone finally rang. Unknown number. Hands trembling, she answered. The woman in white spoke calmly. "Congratulations," she said. "You survived the second day." Amma's voice broke. "What have you done to me?" A soft laugh answered. "Nothing yet. Tomorrow," she whispered. "You become rich." Amma did not sleep. She sat curled in the corner of the apartment as dawn slowly crept through the curtains. The dark stains on the floor marked where the worms had disappeared hours earlier, not dead, simply gone. Even worse, her husband's body had vanished completely. Clothes, blood, even broken furniture were gone. Only the empty hourglass remained on the table, clean and waiting. Maybe she had imagined everything. Shock could cause hallucinations. She tried to believe that, until she noticed the black bag beside the sofa. Inside, the money had doubled. Fresh stacks filled the bag. "They paid me," she whispered, her voice hollow. Her phone suddenly vibrated. Unknown number. The woman in white. "You said I would become rich," Omar demanded. "What happened to him?" "He fulfilled his purpose," the woman replied calmly. "You murdered him." "He volunteered. Men come to me because success demands sacrifice." The truth struck hard. Omar stared at the money, her parents' debts, her dreams, finally within reach. "I quit," she whispered. Soft laughter answered. "That is unfortunate." Cold fear slid down her spine. "Look at your hand." Omar froze. Tiny red dots moved beneath her skin. She scratched desperately as something wriggled under her wrist. "You said I survived," she cried. "For now," the woman said gently. "You carried the hunger during marriage. Now it recognizes you." Omar staggered toward the mirror. Her reflection looked beautiful, richer somehow. But beneath her collarbone something moved slowly under the flesh. "How old are you?" she whispered. "I stopped counting after my first 100 marriages." Silence followed. "One last thing," the woman added softly. "The third day never belongs to the husband." Omar's breath caught. "It belongs to the bride." Something inside her stomach moved violently. Omar collapsed onto the floor as violent pain twisted through her stomach. Something moved beneath her skin, crawling slowly as if learning her body. The apartment lights flickered before darkness swallowed the room. Desperate for help, she stumbled into the corridor, only to find it unnaturally silent and empty. Wet footprints led her toward an elevator that opened on its own. Without touching any button, it carried her down to the basement. Cold air greeted her. Instead of parked cars, dozens of candles burned across the concrete floor. At their center stood the woman in white, calmly waiting. "You are becoming me," she said. Omar screamed in anger, denying she had agreed to this, but the woman reminded her that she had chosen money over fear. Pain surged again as something crawled beneath Omar's skin toward her throat. "You are not dying," the woman whispered. "You are being born." Servants emerged from the shadows as she offered Omar the silver ring. Refusing only made the pain worse. Memories of poverty and desperation broke her resistance. The moment Omar touched the ring, the agony vanished. Her reflection showed colder eyes. Behind her, worms slid into darkness. "Congratulations," the woman smiled. A nervous rich man stepped forward with flowers. Omar slowly smiled back. The young man introduced himself as Daniel, nervous but hopeful. He believed Omar could help him succeed. Only days earlier she would have pitied someone like him. Now she felt nothing. The woman in white and her servants disappeared, leaving Omar alone with her first husband. She led Daniel back to the luxury apartment, where no trace remained of the man who had died before him. Only the hourglass waited on the table. The moment Daniel entered, dark sand began filling it on its own. "A promise," Omar said. She showed him stacks of money. Greed quickly replaced his confusion. "How much?" he asked. "As much as you want." Memories of her struggling parents almost made Omar warn him. "Almost." But the hunger inside her stirred, demanding another sacrifice. "Marry me," she said quietly. After one long look at the money, Daniel agreed. The ring slid onto his finger. Candles burst into flame as warmth and strength returned to Omar. The hunger calmed instantly. "You became successful," she told him gently. Day one had begun. Later, as Daniel counted money behind her, Omar watched across glowing skyline. Somewhere else another girl opened a black envelope marked 3 days. A worm slipped briefly across Omar's wrist. She smiled. Inside the walls, something began chewing again. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to subscribe for more dark African mysteries.